Hello and welcome
Welcome back
to Queer Films Revisited,
a queer cinema review podcast
where we dive a little bit deeper into the movies that we have already reviewed and probably very poorly, and these movies deserve such a better recapping. And so I am Candice. Oh, you never think those things happen for real. I'm Em.
I'm Candice. I was like, yeah, I'll say it like that.
And today we are going to review the infamous All Over Me.
All Over Me. The amazing, almighty All Over Me.
This movie is... I did not give this movie the credit it deserved. And so I am happy to be here today and to, as they say, eat crow and go ahead and just talk about this amazing movie.
It is an amazing movie
that 2020 me had no idea.
And obviously 2020 me was, I don't know, still trying to impress you or something. I don't know why I was like going down to 1.5 thumbs, because I'm like, hands down love this movie.
I'm surprised you didn't lean over and make me give it a higher score. Like, because it's
your review's your review, and
my score is my score, and it is for me to deal with down the line. So let's get started.
Oh my god, let's do it. All Over Me.
All Over
1997.
Where did the story originate?
The story originated with the director, Alex Sitchell, actually wanting to do a documentary on the Riot Girl movement, I believe, in New York. On the Riot Girl movement in New York. Yeah. And I'm not sure if she was kind of was having a hard time maybe creating like kind of the storyline. So her sister said,
she was filming different, like the female Riot Girl scene in New York.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
So, but wasn't able to really get something.
And so her sister,
a playwright,
Sylvia Sitchell, wrote it for her, and it became then a narrative film, and an amazing one
that's really all. I think writing teams really work well together. So either like married couples a lot or siblings.
What up, Noah Greta?
Right. So I think this is a really good example of siblings who came together and had a vision and were able to, but just what a sibling to be like, girl, I got you. I'll get it to you a week, a month. I'll get it to you in a month. And it took her sister 3 years to write it. And so
what an artist.
So I think that's so cool that they were able to come together and.
Yeah. And she actually got a grant for it because of her
the Princess
Grace, I believe, yes, grant, because of all the footage she had gotten of the Riot Girl.
So she was able to kind of show up saying, look what I've done. I need to make a movie though.
Right.
And I looked everywhere for this budget. There was no number, but it did. I almost wanted to say really well in box office, but it was like 18,000. I think 20,000 like worldwide.
I saw 200. It was a lot of varying numbers online. So that's really
real.
Yeah, I was like, there was, because I was looking for a budget. So a lot of them had different box office returns.
And they were all different.
So, you know, I don't know if like that little void in the internet where we don't have the information.
Right. It was just during a time when they're like,
if anyone does have the information on the budget for All Over Me, please let us know, because it is definitely something I'm curious about, given, you know, its location in New York and everything, and just, you know, the other movies that were filmed around that time, I'm, you know, want to know kind of like what was all their budgets. Yeah. And so, you know, that would be interesting to know. So if anyone does have that information, please share.
Yeah, I really think So I think I was trying to think of that interview we were watching where it was 15 years after the movie came out, and yeah, she was. Do you remember anything from that interview?
Yeah, it was I believe the Frameline Film Festival in San Francisco, and they were screening All Over Me. Yeah. It was. I'm like, yes.
In fact, I do.
But I'm like, as I'm like, I was like, I really don't. And the fact that I mean, what she did was, noted that like Claudia comes across like as that awkward teenager because in fact she was the age.
That was
that was actually something.
No, she did say.
Oh, okay.
It was. I don't think her age was specified in that interview, but she was saying she was an actual teenager.
Right.
I don't think she was 15. The character was 15 years old.
Right. I think we got 17 or something.
She was born in 78 and the movie came out in 97. Mm-hmm. So that would have been like 18, 19 when it was filmed. So.
Yeah. Which is,
and the so that's her name is Allison Foland. She played Claudia, and her co-star Tara Subkoff played Ellen. What was that review you were reading? It was a review from 1997.
Yes, it was an actual review in Variety in 1997. It just awoke all the body issues in me because, like, again, like in the 90s, Janine Garofalo was saying she was, a bigger girl. So I was like, well, fuck. Right. I mean, okay. Trying to understand my size. So I was like, well, Janine Garofalo is a bigger girl than I.
Yeah.
And so so they describe Allison as a big unattractive girl, and I was like, oh, is that like, I felt like in Love Actually, like I'm like, oh, is that what we're calling big? I was like, oh, huh. So it just like all of a sudden I was like, poof, like just brought back to that, and I'm like, oh my god, the her body friend, issues.
Because her counterpart in the movie is very small, and so, that definitely explains a lot of why in the 90s body issues were different.
Yeah, because like, I mean, even rewatching it, and the mirror's placed in front of the refrigerator, it's a shape-shifting mirror to make you bigger, and the mom like placed it there obviously to like shame herself or something. Like, it's just all like it's so well put in the story. Like it written and directed so perfectly, because again, it almost feels kind of like a documentary, because like you could smell the apartment. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's definitely a real apartment in Hell's Kitchen.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if the actual one was in Hell's Kitchen, but it's set in Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. So yeah.
But so the review was kind of shocking of how, like, and then it's like always hanging out with her sexy best friend. I'm like, oh god, why? Whoa, like we just have so much, I feel like, more awareness right now, and so things, it's all such a balance. But and they're like, it follows a lesbian, a homosexual, and a straight girl, and I'm like, I don't think anyone was straight.
No.
In that.
No, the two friends who are very comfortable with touching and...
Sorry.
No, what?
I want to say, like, I just think it's novel in the fact that they are, like, hitting that precipice of showing a friendship where these girls obviously, like, made out, and it's, like, but they're moving on now, like, to, like, real relationships. Right. And it's, like, so interesting to show that kind of...
Ooh, that's a good way to...
kind of disillusion of it, I
didn't really realize that it is their friendship is very juvenile in the way that they're the way they... I knew I've had a cat hair. God, my life with cat hair. I'm not going to be as excessive as last time. But the way they make out and are together, I didn't realize was more of this kind of finding themselves. And
right.
I don't think I saw it like that before, but that makes a lot of sense why, Ellen wants to go out and actually be with the guys.
Right.
And actually so take what she's been practicing in the bedroom and take it to the streets.
I'm sure I've made out with plenty of girls when I was younger who are now married to men, and we all go. It doesn't dictate where you're gonna go, but it is something that I think a lot of girls do growing up. And
these kind of movies,
not everyone, but
no, because these are the kind of movies that made me think that all my friends wanted to make out with me. None of them did. I was like,
no making out. Oh, okay.
No. And probably because I was the gay one, I was like wanting it secretly and not in any way gonna do that. I wasn't gonna do that. So, so these kind of movies really give that sort of atmosphere.
And I mean, I know that was kind of my experience. I had some partners like that was growing up their experience. So to catch that in a film is pretty impressive, because
the innocence, yet the closeness and intimacy.
And then as the reality of they're not in a relationship, they we're just being comfortable and curious with one another, and it's the realization of possessive-ness and stuff like that, and it's oh, we're not in a relationship. That's what I think Claudia had to come to terms with, that this was just something they did. They're not together.
Right. I wish there was a lot more interviews and information.
Yeah.
This movie was kind of made at a time and in a fashion that kind of left a lot of openings and unanswered questions, because I mean, even the director, you said she didn't go on to make much else.
No, she did a documentary where she did another film, Amnesia, and I believe she did a couple other films. Yeah, but the other notable work they noted was her documentary where she documented her struggle and with breast cancer.
Okay, right.
And so, in which she did tragically pass away from in 2014. And so, when I looked that up, I was like, oh my god, yeah. But but an amazing work is in the
it's really awesome that you don't have to come into the film world and make a bunch of movies to make an impact.
Oh yeah, because I mean, All Over Me, though not a lot of interviews and stuff we weren't able to find with cast and the production and stuff like that, but a lot of reviews, theses on it, so there's a lot of analysis of it, and I think because it really portrayed such an authentic development of one's sexuality, and so it almost I forget which Heavenly Creatures you compared to 13, and and this is almost kind of 13, not as aggressive, I feel but the kind of just
actually a lot
the intense relationship between two friends, and kind of where are they actually going. But I was like,
I was just gonna say, is that one worthy of a queer cinema review? I think so, because it's also been referenced enough.
And Evan Rachel Wood as well. So we should definitely do 13. I think there's a lot of great themes that go through a lot of these films, and All Over Me definitely does do that very well. I think very naturally, and so the sisters worked very well to bring this story together, and the cast brought it to screen extremely well.
I am so offended by my original response. Just I was watching it again, just saying like, okay, I claimed that these people were not acting very well and it was not good. And so I was watching and like, okay, just be real with yourself. And I was like, I was a jerk. I was not aware. And it's that thing. I've also done things now. So having like acted in Lucy's music video, like puts a little bit of different understanding in acting and emotional acting, to be specific. So that that helps me understand that this movie was not just well directed and written, but acted.
Yeah, I kind of same thing going back on that as well as
Hey Socks, what you doing? If you're gonna hang out there, just
realizing that it's more that like my brain work, that it's like I notice like accents and things like that and the way people say things when I'm not focused on that. I mean, the acting's phenomenal because, as you know, Alex Sitchell had said, like Alice in Fallen really does bring the awkwardness of that age painfully to the screen. You know what I mean? Like of just the like uncomfortable, like you have to laugh at yourself when you look in the mirror because you're not really comfortable with what you see, you know? And just like the scene with her and the ice cream in front of the mirror, like I felt that.
Right.
You know, she's having this moment where she's, you know, hitting a low point and she goes into the freezer and gets like, you know, big scoop out and just sitting in front of that mirror that makes you appear bigger, and it's just like you feel just the kind of like low sadness I feel like in her, and it's like just the weight of being that age and, you know, not knowing what's going to happen, you know, the next day. This whole the setting of it is like the day, like the last day before school,
right?
You know? So it's like summertime's approaching.
Yeah, a lot of the reviews or like a lot of synopsises mention that, which I didn't realize kind of really does give that that storyline access. Like all this is happening once school's over. That makes a lot of sense. Like summertime, you know, you can get into a lot of trouble. There's no like structure of going to school, and so it's crazy what can happen in the summer. Like people who are their best friends last day of school. Yeah.
Because they're laying on the ground when they go to their last day of school. Like when she's sick, so the night before everything happens, their night before their last day of school. Yeah. You know, and it's just like, you know, whereas Claude was probably thinking of what's going to happen with them this summer. Like, oh, we're going to do so many things. We're going to start our band, you know? Yeah. And it's like, no, not anything like that.
The summer is not going to turn out
the summer is not going to turn out like you thought. I just, it was so real. And I don't think, you know, I've watched it. I can't even fathom counting. There's just no way I can't. But you know, there's something about this rewatch that really just hit me with the like impact of, you know, just knowing this person who's, you know, had this done to them and who, you know, like
who?
Sorry, how the hate crime is committed and how impactful that. You know, like really aware of like who that guy was to her, because when you're a young queer person and not even necessarily aware that you are queer, so you don't really even know what you're looking for, and so he sees her and for who she is. Yeah, and so to have him ripped away, it's like you know, very jarring. And you know, the one kind of thing then is hopefully like her and I forget what Wilson Cruz's character's name is, but who I was so happy to see him in this movie.
God, I was so like, I have all the characters' names down. Is his name Jesse?
Yes, Yesy.
Yesy.
I believe it is.
I just know that was in like the last movie, so okay, that makes sense. I don't think I really understood that this was supposed to be just a couple days in length.
Yeah, like the whole thing is like a week.
Okay, that makes more sense. I'm thinking like I didn't know it was like 48 hours. No, but it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just literally like a week, like because she met him like the night before, I think, when they're talking. She was like, you know, kind of like, did he look like he liked me or whatever? And then she goes to hang out with him that night. And so literally it's 2 days before school ends, and then it ends.
Sad.
It really was, and it was so real. Like the review from 97 compared it to this other movie, Kids, that was out, which is actually follows another group of like New York kid or teenagers, and I think
that one's a documentary though, right? Or is a faux documentary?
It's
just a movie,
just filmed, to where it honestly felt like a documentary to a lot of people, because these weren't named actors or anything like that. But it was. I don't. I
would love to see it. I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a great film. Chloe Sevigny's, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah, film debut. It was very jarring, but I would almost say that like anything. Not All Over Me is kind of they both deal with very heavy subject matter, that's for sure, and kind of what actual teenagers are dealing with. I don't think that a lot of films depict that depict that well or accurately, without it being like dramatic, but just more kind of showing it through the lens of the teenagers. And the All Over Me was definitely, I think, a success in just really feeling like you are in their minds, and just the struggle in which they're going through, even though like
the hormonal like, that up and down energy of when Ellen is like, I hate you, I'm gonna go, and then she's like laying on her again, and I'm just like, she's just, there's so much emotions. They're teenagers, and it's very well captured and created. And so some of the notes that like were taken during the movie, because I saw like band practice in quotes, and it says that's about the extent of hours. So literally I was like, okay, so was that about as much as when we were in a band that we actually practiced, of like sitting there? It's like, because
the one time we plugged in the,
that's right. We
downstairs neighbor was like, I was like, oh.
Did you not want to hear us try and be Riot Girls in 2016?
Like, like I was saying, I was like, I think All Over Me, like, I had thought for a second, I was like, that's definitely like what inspired me to get a bass. And I was like, no, I did have one before that, but it is what like the goal or the dream of like, it's like, I mean, when Leisha Haley enters in, like, I feel like All Over Me takes like a whole different turn, it's like Ellen who? Puh.
Literally. No, they do such a good job of that transition of that. Ooh, I want to say that liminal space. I don't even know if it's right, but it feels right. Where she goes from thinking that Ellen is her everything to, who's this pink-haired girl at the guitar store who I'm going to see later at a all-girls show. And it's a whole different kind of being. I think even the way she's able to be vulnerable in front of her, and have that deep, deep cry she has listening to Patti Smith. And
she pulls it off. You know what I mean?
She does.
It's terrifyingly uncomfortable because it feels so real.
Accurate.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like I've been privy to those moments where I'm like, should I be here? Like this, and so it, the music, I mean, hands down, all over me. Amazing soundtrack. I mean, it just opens up I believe, with a Babes in Toyland song, but don't hold me to that. I need to stop speaking.
They're first on the list,
but
which you have right there.
Yes, my soundtrack, for space, I do not have my CD jewel cases anymore, but I still have, the All Over Me. And yeah, so it's Babes in Toyland, Hello. Yeah, and then I love it that Ellen, them actually jamming with the Unplugged is there. And it's just such a great sound. Unplugged guitars.
I'm really curious if I actually was introduced to this music beforehand, like when I was younger, how I would have felt about it, because Riot Grrrl music was not something that I took to immediately. And it was after really learning about the movement, and it's like when you know why they're angry, it made a lot more sense, and all of a sudden it's like,
right,
just get dirty. And I didn't understand that before. I was a big like Paramore fan, and so to have Bikini Kill too. She's angry in her own little way, in her own feisty little singer way, but Bikini Kill had a story, and it's really crazy when I started listening to Riot Grrrl music, how that one changed like my vocal range, and to my just like, once you're in it, it feels good to.
Oh yeah, it's a warm hug. Like, when freaking Joey Ramone. It has a great soundtrack, and I was like, right. Yeah. So it just, I can't say enough positive things about it. Like, I was so stoked, and now I just feel like it's like so many things that like want to come out, and that it's like almost just like a traffic jam of thoughts. And
on this movie,
yeah, because it's one of those movies too that really makes you feel like you see New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you hear stories of like people not leaving their neighborhoods,
and you can see how.
Exactly. And so, I don't necessarily feel that familiarity over here. And so it's really interesting. I'm like, oh yeah, like it's like its own nebulous within its bigger one. Like, it is
New York City.
Yeah. And so
the movie takes place in Hell's Kitchen. I think I mentioned that already, but so I think we've been talking about what the film meant to us, where we were when we first saw it. Where were you when you first saw it?
So I think I was trying to place myself, and I believe it was, I think I had just moved to Houston, and I believe that's where I saw it, because I just remember seeing Leisha Haley with the pink hair, and I just was done. I was like, who is this Pinky? And wow. And
I thought her name was Pinky for years, because you always called her Pinky, and then I found out her name's Lucy in the movie. So you're like, oh, that, like, literally today was the day. I was today's years old when I found out that that her name wasn't Pinky, because
it is Lucy, but she is Pinky to me.
So
I think that's, and this is another movie kind of like that makes you feel like you can do this, because it's a story that's like so real, and it's like, it's inspiring, and
nothing is extraordinary in terms of what they had to do to get these shots, but so well done. Like I love the angles that are taken, and the amount of movement isn't too much. It's not too steady. It's not too like bouncy. I'm always I've been very impressed and impacted by the actual direction of the movie.
Yeah, it is very it just makes you feel like you're there. The I feel like it's a lot of handheld shots, but it didn't feel, like you said, too shaky or anything, so you just really kind of felt like you're a part of it, like you're right there walking along with them. And
did you see this movie in theaters?
No, I don't know. No, I
was it because you were where did you say where you saw this movie?
It had to be VHS or DVD. I'm gonna go with VHS probably because it was easier to get my hands on. Right. But yeah, I was probably 18 years old in Houston still.
So you just saw it at like the movie store?
I guess so. Like I really wish I could have like the exact memory of it. I was like, because I don't, but
that's okay.
I was like, I know.
It came out in 1997. It came out in
97, and I know I had to have seen it around then because I saw the Murmurs perform in. And
did you? Sorry.
Oh, what?
Did you learn who they were after this movie?
Yes. I don't believe I was listening to the Murmurs, even though they were making music.
Right.
And so
it wasn't as easy to know about all the girl bands.
Right, because there was so many different like subsects too. Yeah. And it's, internet was in its,
early years, just had the Chainsaw Records message board.
But it's so I remember like seeing Leisha Haley, and I was like, because to me she's always Pinky, like it doesn't. And so I was just like, it's Pinky, it's her tattoo, oh my god. And so and you can see it so fresh and bright in the movie.
Super cool rainbow star armband tattoo, which I
is
love.
Gone,
and she got rid of, which I guess I understand. At a certain age, she's like, I just don't want it hanging out below.
Right.
She got it right where every t-shirt line is going to end, so there's no hiding it.
And when she got it, I'm sure she didn't want to.
No.
So, like things totally changed. I'm not judging it.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, like, because it looked like rainbow bright stars, not just like regular stars.
They're precious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I know that I saw it like relatively like when it came out, because I referred to her in my head as Pinky when I saw her perform.
And I don't think I saw it until I got you the movie.
Wow.
So.
And so you weren't floored with it then. Excuse me. I'm going by our first review.
So the first time I saw it, I was like, that's good. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, they'll just let anybody make movies anymore.
So it's a different kind of lens, because you're you're reviewing it.
Yes. And now I'm sitting here 4 years later, just like,
after a summer of acid and seeing your wife go through film school, you're like, hey.
I'm very aware my brain has changed and developed, and I'm like, this movie is beautiful and tells such an intricate story that is valuable and real and honest. And 2020 me had no idea what this movie was.
I mean, the mom, right? Like, just the way the mom and Claudia work is so real.
Right.
I
mean, I can't relate personally, but you said that this was a very similar.
I guess as an only child to a single mom, that was very, very much resonated with me, and so it was just that kind of like the dating awkwardness. You don't want to live in an apartment when your mom's dating. It's not fun.
No.
But so you was like, you're not paying for the rent,
right? So here we are. Hi, Mom.
But it's that thing of like, you're the teenager, you know what I mean? So it's like those just reactions, but it's like, so as the director, to capture that is amazing, because for me, as the only child of a single mom, I was like, that's so real, and so it's always really cool when you can make it feel authentic and appear authentic and things like that. And I mean, that is very much so this film. The music didn't feel pressured. Like, it didn't feel like it was like a, big advertisement for Riot Grrrl music.
No. I would have probably, I think I would have really enjoyed it when I was younger. Just realizing as you were saying that, I was like, I think I probably related more to Ellen's character. Her parents are at home watching TV together. I can relate, and just
not caring where you're at.
Not really, no. And so that amount of neediness she has, that need for attention, that need for validation, I'm like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. It's me. So it's funny. I'm watching this. I'm like, we always say how we would not have worked. We met when we were supposed to, because I think if we met when we were teenagers, and granted being the same age, I think this would have been our friendship to an extent of just like, come on, don't you want to be in our band? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm kind of bored. Let's go get some validation from boys.
Yeah.
Come on. And then I'll make out with you and make it your problem later.
Yeah, that I was like, I could see how that would work.
I never thought it so much until literally we were watching. I was like, Claude and Ellen. All right, universe. I see your little cute story that you're putting out, and noted. Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason, and at its time. This is accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is an astute thought that would have probably been very accurate.
I think we met when we were supposed to, and because everything worked out just perfectly. So here we are 12 years later. Still rocking and doing the gay thing.
I was like, dang it, now that song's stuck in my head.
You keep on rocking. Rocking. Is that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So,
I was like, you know me.
So the original score, unfortunately, it got like a 2.5.
Yes, because you were dancing between half and 1.
I know.
And that's where I was like, watching me being like, yeah, I could see 1.5. And I'm like, literally to me in the screen, like, it's 2. You love this movie. It's 2. And
you better vote higher. We're watching ourselves.
And it's so funny because then you're like, well, can you see you see it like being a 1.5, and or you're like, or maybe a 2, and I was like, and then you're like, okay, so I give it 1. I was like, so it'll have to be 2.5.
Yeah,
because I was like, there's no way I'm going below 1.5.
Yeah,
and so I think I think it only got 2 thumbs, so
it got like 2.5.
Oh, okay, so you did give it a full thumb. Okay.
I went like this a lot, so
you were kind of like, what do I
I don't know. I could probably do this better. No, girl, you can't. Not yet.
No, that was I think a brilliant film, and like,
yeah,
in that one interview we were able to find, definitely 2 thumbs up. Two thumbs up all around.
Hey, I'm even starting to have higher hopes for Itty Bitty Titty Wee.
Oh no, I'm not that. I was like, oh no. I mean, okay,
I'm having hope.
When I say that, I will always have such a better awareness of the feat of bringing a production to fruition and it being able to be screened in my hands. That right there is
He's just getting comfy.
Oh, I'm not seeing him move, so it was.
His paw is slightly moving the light.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, no, there's something touching my foot.
So yeah, no. She. Exactly. I think there will be a little bit more respect still, even now, put on this itty bitty criminal.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But that is not where we're at. We are at All Over Me right now.
We are, but there is that one connection of Jamie Babbitt, and she was the script supervisor on All Over Me. So,
ding 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 ding
ding ding ding, we have a connection. So
we should just make I don't think we have a Jamie Babbitt.
I don't think we do have Jamie Babbitt there trilogy.
Playlist. It's no longer a trilogy. It's just going to be a playlist.
Right. Yes. But she would. Yeah.
Tell me, did you pull up the comments like you
had so astutely suggested?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Hold on. So, thoughts on our original reviews? Do we have any more?
I think I was just muted with how much this movie like meant to me, because there was Foxfire was out, Bound was out, but I mean the soundtrack to All Over Me was just amazing and so enjoyable and just relevant to where I was at that point in my life.
I love that we have that in common. We both are very much soundtrack people.
Oh my god, very much so.
Like oh god, it's like that scene in Parks and Rec. She's like, why do you have so many was I doing a Georges? Yeah. April's going through Ben's stuff and she's like, why do you have so many soundtracks? He's like, because I kind of feel like it's like a love letter from the director to
and according to Drew Barrymore and the Whip It soundtrack, it is. So I agree with that. I mean, soundtracks started to go off the rails though when they started doing volumes. Like, like for instance, Gross Point Blank, I have like volume 1 and 2, Train Spotting soundtrack 1 and 2, and I think even the volume 2 for Save the Last Dance. So it's they started to get getting a little crazy with them.
Yeah. I shockingly actually that and soundtracks were not. I have more music scores like Pirates of the Caribbean, Chicago. Oh my god, I used to like pump that shit through my fucking headphones like boom, 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 boom. I was really into it.
I have Rent.
So I got Rent. Oh my god, that is one of our commonalities. We came together truly like because we love theater, but at the same time it's not like
right, but musical theater.
Yeah, but like we're not like obsessed with musical theater.
No, but
we like.
I was like, but I do know more musicals than I do plays.
Oh, okay, that's what you mean.
I was like, I'll be honest, I know more musicals than I do plays, though.
That's okay.
Even though I wouldn't be like, but yeah.
Yeah. So I am ready with one of our highest commented videos
because it's great.
So many people love this movie, and that's why, gosh, I hope people forgive me. So let's go ahead. So we are gonna go. We have a year ago from Dark Angel 1985. Mike, one of my favorite movies.
Agreed.
I think he commented on something else of ours, but more recently. All right. So up next we have Dominic Chichurio. I love this film. I still watch it at least once a year. It takes me back to that time period. A riot girlfriend of mine turned me on to this film. I love seeing the guys who are into the riot girl movement have been really awesome.
Yeah.
And they've been some of my biggest supporters.
Yeah.
They're it's like they know that it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's
a real man is not threatened by a white girl.
Exactly. That should be knitted somewhere on a pillow.
So Leah Flower 9924 said, I can't get that line from that song out of my head. Do you think you could make it on your own? Your head is big, but your boyfriend says it hasn't grown. What's that from?
We can.
Oh, I wasn't sure if
Oh no, I don't have it offhand. Let's see.
No problem. Sorry, couldn't find that. So we have AMP Photos said, my gosh, this movie, I rented this so many times. I was obsessed. Leisha. Heart.
Seriously, it was amazing.
And then, truly, Leisha's so cute in this movie.
Oh, I can't even imagine how many people swoon.
Then we have our trusty Starfighter Reviews 699 said, awesome review. I'm actually posting a review of this movie tomorrow on my channel. We watched it.
I appreciated it.
Also, I would have disagree about the acting. I hear you, sir. I felt like the acting in this movie was great, especially for what it was. The acting and the filming of it almost didn't feel like I was watching a movie, but a documentary instead. I love Wilson Cruz. He's on my favorite TV show of all time, My So-Called Life. He was great in that as well. Keep up the great reviews. I do appreciate that people don't always have to agree with us
100%
to say that they enjoyed the reviews.
Yes.
Because I am so sorry for what I've said in the past.
I think it's great because that's the whole point of this podcast is revisiting it. Yeah. And it's the evolution of your point of view. Exactly. Yeah. And, things have occurred since then. And so it's a great thing to be like, wow, this perspective has helped me.
True. And then Free Onyx says this movie is impossible to find anywhere. LOL. Want to see it so bad.
Yeah, and I have an amazing
kind of true. Yeah, when I got it, it was on I think just Amazon, but it was like a private seller, and it was like $40-50 for sure. So knew it was worth it, and
because it used to be like $80.
I was gonna say
the VHS, so never got it.
Movies were like $100 a piece.
Yeah, like literally, it was if you wanted to buy a DVD or VHS when it first came out. Yeah, you paid the price because what Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
their revenue. So you had to essentially buy out their revenue.
I didn't even think of.
So until they rented the heck out of them, and then I love me some PPV, some previously viewed videos for $5. Oh, those were my favorite. Oh my God.
Thank you.
I just very carefully pulled the sticker off of the front of the cover box. You didn't know.
We still have a few. Yeah. This is a good one. If you ever find it anywhere, definitely grab it. Yes, because I don't know if you'll find it anywhere else. Really.
No, it is a definite piece of I feel like film history. And
I was just gonna say it does. The acting is beautiful, amazing. Were there any quotes from the film that you really like? Silly or not silly?
Oh, so the actor who, the gentleman who is the murderer's friend, who is on the faculty, who was in the faculty with Clea Duvall. He said so uncomfortably and endearingly to Claudia. He's like, "You remember that time before we met?" And it stuck with me because I was like, you remember that time before we met? And it's like, let's share this memory that we didn't have together.
Because it was before we met.
It was before we met. So, but You remember that time that existed before we met?
Gosh, what was the I've been trying to read this. It's when they're Claude is at Lucy's house and she looks up and she's like, "Is that a painting of you?" She's like, "Yeah, my dad did it." And she's like, "I just didn't know there were paintings of people who were still alive." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
And I mean, what a cool house did Lucy have?
Her house, that character is written very well, of like the privileged artist family who, like, I heard someone say, like, there's a reason why kids who come from privilege always end up going to art, because it's kind of human nature. It's what is most important for us. So that just shows when all of our needs are met, what we want to do at the end of the day is make art, whatever kind of art that is. And so I think people are very resentful towards those privileged kids, because they're like, you didn't have to work for that art that you're creating. And it's like, maybe not, but they're also growing up in a much healthier environment and their brains are a little bit more intact than everyone else. So it's really cool seeing that even the privileged kids want music and want that, like, so it's like, even though like she may not be having that oppression in her own home, she still knows like the music's important to make, and like Riot Girl scene is like, so
yeah, I feel like it was shown very well, because her she's there, she's in a band, but you can still see the connection to like the lyrics. She's connecting to perhaps like the oomph of what her band is doing, but like Claude comes in, puts on Patti Smith, pissing in a river, and it's like, she's like, whoa. And it's like, because
she's seeing her connect to music in a totally
it's not
different way.
About the jarring like anything. It's right. Just remembering when it came on, I'm like, it's like my scene. So
true. No, I really am
Coochie
able
Pop.
to see this. Coochie Pop, is that her band name?
I was like, that sounded like a moment where I'm like, Coochie Pop.
Pop that coochie.
Yes. Yes, her band.
Yes. No, it's that was kind of illustrating, I think, what Patti Smith's message and how she connects to people in this very, I can't believe we got to see Patti Smith. We didn't see her music performing live, but we knew where she was performing.
Because we're broke fans.
Because we're broke.
Haunt the alleyways.
And so we hung out in the alleyway, like, behind the theater, and just chilled there. And literally, it was like slow motion, and the back doors opened up, and her and a couple other people came out, and it was, it's Seattle. So she looks over at us in slow motion. She's like, "Hey, put on a jacket." And then they walked away, and it was just like,
yes.
Patty's with a jacket.
So we've had some cool moments like that.
Yeah.
A lot of them take place in Seattle alleyways. It's where you gotta go.
It's where you gotta go. And if you're a fan, you show up.
Yeah. No, so I really feel like Patti Smith was, I love the centerfold she's given here. Like that huge, I've always wanted a poster that big.
Yes, exactly. Like
in Claude's room, she has this like 6 foot tall, like
it almost reminds me of the Power to the People album cover you have over your.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
I have a Patti Smith record,
but it's just like record size, and that one it's got to be like at least 4 by 4 feet by 4 feet or something like that.
Yeah, it's a good size one. Yeah. So I think this movie just takes such a beautiful ride of music and film, and I really like it because it brings together, our two passions, music and film, and we love them both, obviously. But as
I love when they can when the filmmaker makes their where music is almost a character in it.
Yeah.
Not like,
I agree.
yeah, like it's not, I don't necessarily know how to explain. Oh, just
That said it.
Yeah. And you definitely feel like, and you know, that lends to this was, you know, her original idea was something around a documentary. So it's like,
yeah. No, they do a really good job at still like it's very well balanced. So the way, you know, the Lucy's you know, her character comes in right at the right time, and it gives you that relief from this sort of hot mess that's starting to go on between Claude and her bestie. So
yes,
I think the movie's pretty amazing. Let me see if there's anything.
Nope, just a beautiful piece of cinema that we have, and
And
really,
I'm just really glad we came back to it, and just everyone out there who's ever seen our review, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was like, wait. I was like, just in the
That's
last
what I'm
pod.
saying.
Yeah. Same here. Like
Just
in the
saying.
last podcast or two ago, I was like, Peter Jackson's from Ireland. He's not. He is
not
from New
Ireland.
Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
This podcast is not about like being the best. It's about being authentic, and
it's just revisited.
yeah, like when we watched Starfighter's review of the movie, it made me feel so amateur. I was like, "Ooh, man, he really like nails this as like film review," and it just made me realize like our reviews are different. It's us. It's kind of like, come on, if you wanted to sit 10 minutes with us and listen to us talk about a movie, that's what our reviews are. And so there's an audience for everybody. And I really,
that's what we're hoping.
We are finding our audience right now. You know, what did they say? If you build it, they will come. If we podcast, they will listen.
Exactly.
So
no truer words.
Well, Candice, now that I got your name right, is there anything else you want to bring to the table today before we say goodbye?
Just how happy I am to have this film in my life, and how grateful I am for it, because it has heavy subject matter, but being queer in the 90s was a heavy fucking subject matter, and it addressed that, and it didn't make you feel, there's no cliches. It's a great movie. Please check it out if you can. It is hands down just such a raw, authentic queer film of the 90s, and you know,
Heck yeah.
so I'm just happy to have it, happy we get to revisit it. Who knows, 5 years down the road we will revisit it. Who knows,
maybe we'll have gotten to make something more with it. And like truly I was like, oh, this movie like needs a sequel, or like kind of that follow-up. Like we should see where Claude and Lucy are later down the line. Are they civil rights activists?
I think I heard Lucy is actually doing her own podcast now.
Oh yes,
yeah, she moved to LA.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
She changed her whole scene, and now she's doing the
Pants
podcast.
Yeah, I think Lucy's doing well.
She's done good. So, all right. I think that is it. That's where we're leaving it. Next review, I think, is
Itty bitty.
And so until then, next week, we hope you enjoyed the deep dive. I hope you didn't get a little too wet.
Oh, right. The gush. With that, thank you very much.
Dry off and have a great evening, guys. Everybody, ladies, lovers, and
listeners.
Oh, I like that. Thank you. All right. Howdy.
Howdy. Thank you.
Yeah.